everyone. It's nice to see each new faces. Like you said, my name is Cheyenne. I'm a part of Toastmasters for be my 1 year, I think, this month. So it's exciting. So we're going to just do a quick review of our agenda for our guests. We have our prepared speeches section, and then we'll also go into our table topics. So let's just go ahead and review the roles. Could I get the grammarian role, please?
Hi, I'm Abdul Majid. I'll be the grammarian. So I'll be looking at improper use of English language and words. And also the word of the week is bellwether, B-E-L-L-W-E-T-H-E-R. So it's like you have one who has an indicator of or an indication, you have some hint from it or close to that meaning.
Thank you. And then our all counter.
That's me, Diego. I am the odd counter. I'm watching for moments where people say filler words like so, you know, like, things like that. It's an indication that someone is not comfortable with silence, and it's important for growing public leaders to recognize that silence is just as important a tool in communication as the spoken word. And for this reason, keeping track of odd counters and reporting them at the end of the meeting helps to teach people, okay, these are the words that are my weakness, and these are things that I need to address in future public speaking roles. Back to you, Cheyenne.
All right, thank you. And then table topics, this one is that. I can if you need to.
Thank you.
Okay, so table topics, just so you know, it's a section where we do 1 to 2 minute speeches, improv speech based on a question that is read off, and then we'll ask for volunteers. And all right, and next and last but not least, our timer rule.
That's also me. Not only is it important for you to be comfortable with silence, but it is important for you to communicate your message in a timely manner. For the prepared speeches tonight, I believe we have 5 to 7 minutes. So green light is 5 minutes, 6 minutes is yellow light, and red light is 7 minutes. And what the red light communicates is that you should wrap up your speech within 30 seconds, out of respect for the agenda and for other speakers who are speaking after you. For the table topics portion of our meeting, there is a 1 minute mark, which is green light. 1 minute and 30 is the yellow mark. And the red light is 2 minutes. Again, we're not really big on insisting that a table topic lasts for a minute, but it's just an indication of that. And evaluations last at minimum 3 minutes to, I want to say, 4 minutes within that time period. Okay, don't need to. I think that's it. Yep, back to you.
All right. Okay, Donovan just arrived. Didn't you sign up for table topics, Donovan?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Do you
Do you still want to do the table topics?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. All right, so now we have all of the roles read. I'm very excited that we have 2 speeches tonight. And I would like to introduce our first speaker. Like it was mentioned earlier, I've been out for a couple weeks, but the time that I've gotten to be around Miss Carrie, she is a joy, and I can't wait to hear your speech. So everyone, please give a round of applause for Miss Carrie.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Good evening, Toastmaster and guests. Tonight, I'd like to share my story. The story is about an early time of my life in the U.S., so that you will know who I am and where I'm from. After graduating from a community college in Japan, I came to the U.S. to continue my education to study at the University of Penn State University, University Park, Pennsylvania. Okay, my 3 days or some days before I left Japan for the U.S., my hands holding a chopsticks, a pen, a knife, a fork, and a toothbrush were shaking. I was very nervous, anxious, worried, and scared. I had never been outside Japan or even flown to anywhere. However, the fear didn't stop my journey to the US. An airplane carried with fear and a one-way ticket to Gotham at the Kansai Airport, Japan. About 12 hours later, and the airplane landed on New York Airport. Welcome to America, Carrie. I needed to transfer the flight to the Penn State University. But the flight was postponed because the pilot didn't show up in time. What? It sounds so strange to me. The pilot didn't show up? Is that the normal in US? Anyway, I had plenty time until the next flight. So I walked around the airport and stepped outside the building. Then I saw a police officer yelling at the big man, "Put your hand down on the wall!" And, is that the movie or filmmaking or something? No, that was real. Then I thought, oh, I came to the wrong country. But I didn't return to Japan because I had the only one-way ticket. I really came to the US by myself. I had no family, no friends, or anyone I knew. No one picked me up at the airport or made a reservation for a hotel that night. So I really need to make a reservation for myself that night at the airport. That was day one, or my debut in America. Okay, on day two, I finally arrived in the university. I checked in the school dorm. I chose the most reasonable room in the dorm, so I had 6 roommates. Well, I unpacked my luggage, took a shower, lay down on the bed. On that night, all I was thought about was Japan. I missed it so much. I was homesick and cried in bed. Okay, on day 3, I was very busy registering classes, talking to my advisor, buying textbooks, and paying tuition. And because school already started, I needed to study too. Because I was very busy and had a lot of things to do, the fear had gone. Instead, I was homesick. I cried day and night. When I didn't understand what was going on in the class, in English, I almost burst into tears, ran to the bathroom, and cried. I didn't know how to order lunch at the cafeteria. I almost burst into tears, ran to the bathroom, and cried. When someone said hello to me, I almost burst into tears and ran to the bathroom and cried. At night, I cried a lot in bed. The first weekend came. My roommates took me to downtown. They knew I cried and homesickness, so they tried to make me feel better. We went to a Dairy Queen. I had no idea what the Dairy Queen was. The roommates told me Blizzard was good. Okay, Blizzard. So I ordered small chocolate Blizzard. Of course, I had no idea what the Blizzard was. And then I got the chocolate Blizzard, American small size of ice cream, with a pile of ice cream and plenty of chocolate fudge on the top. Okay, this is small in America. Looking at the big cup of ice cream in my hand, I thought, well, America was not that bad. Since then, I felt less homesick, I cried less, and smiled more. Every time I eat chocolate blizzard at Dairy Queen, I remember this story. The story is about the early time of my life in the U.S. Well, thank you for listening to me, and back to Toastmaster.
Thank you for sharing. It was like making me tear up a little bit hearing about it. I can't imagine the fear. You know, a lot of us here, we will move like an hour or two away from home, but I can't imagine like being on the other side. But thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. All right, and so now we're going to move on to our second prepared speech. And if everyone will give a round of applause for Maurice and welcome him to
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, what I present to you tonight is understanding your leadership style. And before I got into that understanding your leadership style on Pathways, I had no idea or little idea of what all these different characteristics of leadership were. When I thought of leadership, you tell someone what to do or help somebody to do something, and if they do it, you're a successful leader. But as I looked through these different characteristics and read through the assessment and read through the different subtopics of understanding your leadership style, I began to realize more about the different characteristics of being a leader and the different styles of being a leader. Last year, I was the area director for this area, which consisted of 3 clubs. And there were certain tasks I needed to perform, such as filling out a visit report, make sure that each club does their club success plan, and I also helped out during the district conference, which was in Mobile this past year. And I learned some of the things I did fairly well and some of the things I failed at. That helped me to understand more about being a leader. And not only that, I am glad that there's not only a communication path in Toastmasters, but also a leadership path or a leadership aspect to Toastmasters, such as leading a Toastmasters meeting as president or as Toastmaster. From that, you learn more about being a leader, more so than just telling someone what to do or helping someone to do something, and then success if they do or failure if they don't. I will briefly show you the Discover Your Leadership Style. It consists of 48 characteristics of being a leader, and it's also done electronically on the Pathways. When you sign in to the Toastmasters website and go to Pathways and go through the path. But there's 48 characteristics, and it's scaled from 0 to 3, 0 not at all, 1 slightly to each characteristic, 2 moderately, and 3 completely. As I went through all this evaluation or this assessment, I did not mark 0 or 3. I marked either 1 or 2, which is slightly or moderately. But once I got the answer, submitted this, and then got the answer, I found out my style scores. And there are 8 style scores, and My top three are altruistic, coaching, and democratic. And my bottom three are bureaucratic, authoritative, and pace setting. And I more or less agree with this. I mean, through the assessment, I mean, there's probably a few points where I could switch them, but for the most part, altruistic or being available to help people to get better. Coaching was second, where you could help guide people to do a task. And I also agree that my bottom three are bureaucratic, which is extremely authoritative, where you actually almost dictate what someone's going to do. Authoritative, not so much less than bureaucratic. And then pace setting, motivating without giving much instruction, according to the assessment. So through that, I could see the areas where I could improve, because I'm not so much, I don't consider myself so much bureaucratic or a hard taskmaster when leading people to complete a task. And then the areas where I can improve are innovative and affiliative, where I have special ideas where I can implement immediately to those I lead. So understanding your leadership style, I will go back and look at this again and just learn more about how to become a better leader. And now that I know that there are so many more characteristics to being a leader other than telling someone what to do or helping someone to do something, and then that person succeeding or failing. Madam Toastmaster.
I think that we have to learn the hard way that the leader is not just the loudest person or the bellwether, if you will. So, thank you both for your speeches. I enjoyed them. And so now we're going to move into our next portion of our meeting, which is going to be our table topics. And if we could please welcome to the lectern, Donovan, who is our table topics master for the evening.
Okay. First off, I just wanted to tell you what liquid nitrogen is. Liquid nitrogen is basically a freezing liquid that we use in cooking, and it freezes things. I just wanted y'all to know that in advance. Who was volunteer on volunteer? Okay, Kaggle. Would you rather decorate your house with a scarecrow or a pumpkin?
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I've been asked if I would like to decorate my house with a scarecrow or a pumpkin, which to me is a very difficult choice. Because the first thing I would think of is a scarecrow with a pumpkin for a head. That would be super cool. But if I had to pick one between the two of them, I think a scarecrow is probably more interesting, because you gotta take the time to put it together and make it, and then you can also have a whole lot of fun based on where you put it and how you position it and where you put it when decorating your house. Me and my brother one time I made one scarecrow type thing. Hung it up behind the shower because I noticed my brother would always look behind the shower curtain. So I was like, oh, well, what if I put a scarecrow there? What would happen? So naturally, he looked behind the shower curtain and like traumatized him forever. And so he was super scared and he was really upset with me. And then maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, after I'd taken it down, he put it right back up. And I did the exact same thing and scared myself. So, you know, so I got what I deserved. So I guess because of that kind of fond memory, I would go with the scare card.
Thank you. Okay. Who is next? Okay. Diego.
Yes.
Would you rather walk the aisle home or host a family gathering?
Thank you, Donovan, for this very easy question about if I would rather watch the Iron Bowl or host a family gathering. And hands down, without any embarrassment whatsoever, I would host a family gathering, because football and American football, that type of sports, I find it boring. I'm not interested in it whatsoever. I would find a much more meaningful event with being with family members, with people who I can talk with, people I can connect with, rather than watching 300, 400-pound players compete for a pigskin or something like that. That just doesn't. That's not my definition of entertainment personally. Nothing against people in the room who like that sport or anything like that, but it's not. I would much rather hang out with family and connect with people one-on-one rather than watching people millions upon millions of miles away play for a sport that that doesn't speak to me whatsoever. I'm going to return the lectern back to our tabletop master. Thank you so much.
Who is next? Jay Barnes. Your question is, would you rather bake a pumpkin pie or pecan pie?
That's an interesting question, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I always have wondered, what does it mean, easy as pie? I don't know how many of you here have ever made a good pie. There is nothing easy about making a good pie. Sure, you can go to the store, you can buy the Mrs. Whatever's and stick it in the oven, and of course that's easy. But if you want to roll out a really nice flaky crust and get the filling just right, it's very difficult to make a really delicious pie. Now, the question was, which would I prefer, a pumpkin pie or a pecan pie? Well, both of these pies only have one crust. So that makes it a little bit easier because you only need one crust. But I would have to look at what is the season. I really like pecan pies, but I think that's more of a everyday kind of a pie, whereas pumpkin pie always makes me think of Thanksgiving and that time of year. We always had a nice piece of pecan or a pumpkin pie piled with, more whipped cream than pie, so you completely bury the pie in whipped cream. And so, because of the season, I would have to say that if I was creating a pie, it would most likely be a pumpkin pie. Mr. Topic Master.
Who would want to,
I'll give it a try.
the question that you have is, would you rather corn a pumpkin from scratch or pour liquid nitrogen in pumpkins?
Say that one more time.
Would you rather corn a pumpkin, nitrogen in pumpkins?
Okay.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me tonight. This is really interesting. Saying and ah a lot. Silence is something difficult to master, I think. As far as pumpkins go, I think with a choice between carving a pumpkin and pouring liquid nitrogen into a pumpkin, carving a pumpkin would seem to be a much more appropriate thing to do. But pouring liquid nitrogen into a pumpkin may be more fun. However, I tend to injure myself pretty easily when I'm doing these sort of things, so I'm not sure about the liquid nitrogen. I would probably end up burning my hands. On the other hand, no pun intended, carving a pumpkin would be could be dangerous as well. And I have almost no artistic ability. I'm a civil engineer by trade, so I'm good with numbers. I can design things. The artists just amaze me. People that can, and I've seen just the most incredibly carved pumpkins. The faces just come to life, and you just get a feeling for like it's a real entity. So I think I would like to try carving as opposed to pouring liquid nitrogen.
Okay, human on to next. Okay. Would you rather to have Thanksgiving or Christmas every day?
Would I rather have Thanksgiving or Christmas every day? That is the question I've been asked. Many of you may not know this about me, but I love Christmas. I love Christmas season. I love Christmas food. I love Christmas music. I love everything about it. And I love that we have Christmas here and it's still warm. That's the best part. You still get to be warm and not too cold. I love Christmas time with my family. My family doesn't put a big emphasis on the material part of it. They don't do the rush shopping and the snatching up the gifts and gotta buy presents for people we don't even talk to. So my family really focuses on the time together. And I have very fond memories as a child with Christmas because every year my cousins that lived about 9 hours away would always come and spend a week or two with us at Christmas time. So it's just a happy time for me. And even to this day, even though that family lives 5 minutes away, it's still like something that just makes me happy when I think about it. So I choose Christmas every day. And it was actually just told yesterday to turn off the Christmas music. So, thank you.
Thank you. You would want, okay. Move on to next. Okay. Your question is, would you rather scale a dog or a cat?
I appreciate this opportunity to speak on this. Would you rather mess up a dog or a cat? So, first answer is I'm scared of dog. So the obvious answer is the cat. So yeah, we have friends and family, small dogs and stuff, but they don't go along with me as well. So I would rather go for a cat, this of the cat. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would want to volunteer next? Always want to give a shot and see
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather dress up as a dog or a cat?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, the question that was posed to me, would I rather dress as a dog or a cat? And with not much time to think about it, I'll just say I'd rather dress up as a dog, such as Scooby-Doo or... And I tend to favor dogs more than cats, even though dogs can be vicious. Yeah, cats can't be. Well, dogs are vicious by brute force, but cats,
Emotionally.
I hate cats scratching me and stuff, and they're more aggressive when they attack, pound for pound more aggressive than dogs. So I would rather dress as a dog than a cat, Mr. Topic Master.
Who would want to volunteer next?
This is for your last one.
Yeah, that's my last one. So,
Easy one. The cat and dog would be great.
let's do. Would you rather bake pumpkin cake cookies or turkey cake cookies?
I don't know what they are, so next.
Would you rather have the leaves turn orange or brown?
Would you rather have the leaves, like the tree leaves, turn orange or brown?
Okay, I think I can do it. Good evening again, and thank you so much for this opportunity to talk. Leaves, brown, orange. I love the fall season. The reason is I love autumn views. So color doesn't matter for me. Anyway, the autumn views, a different color, brown, orange, red on the mountain, it was so beautiful. Some years ago, I went to Oregon. And that was the most beautiful autumn view that I ever seen in my life. The color was not the matter. Anyway, autumn view. But if I need to choose, if I have to choose, I would choose red. The reason is I love Japanese maple tree. I believe you have seen a Japanese maple tree. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, look at hands and that shape. And falling down from the trees, and then see it on the floor ground. That was so beautiful. I sometimes picked up some and press in the book, make a bookmark or something. And that was fun, the autumn and fall. Especially coming soon, we have more beautiful trees, leaves and red and green, brown, yellow. We will see more autumn views, I expect. Thank you.
Who's the master, please?
Thank you, Donovan. I liked your table topics, very seasonal. Get us all in the mood, out of the summer mindset as we transition to our fall-ish season, if you will. All right, I would like to welcome up next our general evaluator, which is going to be Mr. Tyler Gates.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters. I'm Jess. I will be our general evaluator for this evening. As far as my overall evaluation, I feel like we did good. We started on time, did the pledge on time. We had 2 speeches, which is good because I know in the past, we were kind of struggling with, people volunteering to speak. So being able to fill both of those slots is great. And we're definitely moving in a good direction with the calendar. People go ahead and like signing up for it. That kind of keeps us all on task. Because I know if I don't have any pressure on me, then I will never get anything done. So it's good to have that accountability. I'm going to start with, let's see. We're going to start with our timers report.
How about if we go with the speech?
Oh yeah, speech evaluations. That's right. That was right. Okay, well, we're going to start with our first evaluator, which will be Lawrence.
Good evening again. I had the pleasure to be able to evaluate Carrie's first speech. I thought it was really nice that I was able to do that because I consider her as a very good friend of mine. We've done a few things together, and it's really enjoyable to see her come up and present some of her early history with all of us, some things which I never knew about her. So that's very good. As far as her speech was concerned, for a icebreaker speech, she did an exceptional job. I really feel that she was able to really present herself to the audience in a very good way. I really like that she did not stand behind the lectern, because she is a little bit short, and so, you know, when she's standing behind the lectern, you can see her face, but if she was doing body gestures and when she was doing hand gestures, it would have been more difficult. But when she was standing on the side, she was able to draw everybody in a little bit more, and I like that. That's a very good thing. Now, one of the things that I think it would be good for her to work on is her hand gestures. She had some good hand gestures, but one of the things that I noticed is that she let some of her, a little bit of the anxiety that she might have had speaking, she kind of was showing it in her hands, because her hands were clenched together and kind of pulled into herself. And that, although to some people it might not be as noticeable, but subconsciously that is a little bit of like pulling into yourself, and it's not opening yourself to the audience. What my voice instructor always said is try to learn to just put your hands by your side and just do nothing, and then eventually you'll feel comfortable with your hands at your side. So that's one thing you might want to try. Just stand in front of a mirror and give a speech without doing any body movement at all. And that way you can get comfortable with less body movement. Now, all of her evaluations, I'm not going to go into each one in detail, but I did have comments for almost all of her things, all of her different evaluation points. She got 3s and 4s in almost everything, which again is really outstanding for someone who is doing their first speech in Toastmasters. Now, one thing that I would like to challenge her with is with her notes. Okay, she had her notes off to the side, and like I say, I like that she was off to the side, but she was leaning over and looking at her notes. And, you know, if you want to look at your notes, the best thing to do is try to do it discreetly. Ideally, you eventually get where you can give a speech without notes, but if you're going to use notes, you try to look at it discreetly and not make it obvious that you're looking at your notes. So that would be what I would challenge you with. Try to figure out a way to do that. Maybe move your notes over here if you're going to be at the side where you can just glance down at them quickly, and it's not a noticeable lean over the lectern to look at the notes thing. So otherwise, I think you did an absolutely fabulous job, and I'm very proud of you, even though it's just another Toastmaster. Beautiful day. We're all good. Thank you. Madam, Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you, Lawrence. You always give constructive feedback. We really value your insight into how we do speeches. Okay, so now for our second evaluator, I believe is Diego. Good, that's good.
Thanks, Tyler. I always do my best with those. Fellow Toastmasters, it is with great pleasure that I got to evaluate a veteran Toastmaster amongst our ranks, who is Maurice. he shared his leadership speech, which was something I had to do for my Innovative Pathways program as well. I have a lot of good comments I want to share about things that I think he should address in his future speeches. What I appreciated from Maurice tonight was he exercised a comfortability from being away from the lectern. He stood over here, just like Carrie. It was clear that he was not concerned with having his full body on display for everyone throughout the presentation, which is good. I think it was really wise of him to provide a handout of these are the different categories of leadership, important aspects that are required of a leader. But so it was good that he was incorporating a prop into his speech, but I would recommend for future speeches, when he has more time to prepare, is to put those props on a PowerPoint instead, because it was perhaps only I could see it. I don't want to speak for everyone further away from me, but I get the feeling that other people in the back could not see what was written on the handout as well. But it was still good that he communicated what was on the page as well. It would have been a lot worse if he not only shared the handout, but he didn't communicate what was being said on the handout. So that is one area of improvement I would suggest for him in the future. It is clear that he is very familiar with gestures and using those gestures to complement whatever verbal message he is trying to share. Because I noticed in particular when he said there is different leadership styles, he actually indicated with his hands a difference of leadership rather than just saying there's different leadership styles and leaving it at that. It was clear that he was using his entire body to communicate disparities and differences in leadership styles. One more suggestion I would like to share with him is in the future incorporating more vocal variety, as well as perhaps starting with a more poignant opener to his speech rather than just saying, my name is Maurice and I'm going to be talking about leadership styles. Maybe think about asking an audience member a question on, David, what do you think leadership is? Or Kyler, what type of leadership styles do you practice every day in your job? Incorporating more of a dialogue aspect to the next speech he's going to share, so that way the audience is feeling like they're also part of the message that he's trying to communicate with whatever speech he's going to give next. Overall, very well done speech, Maurice. A very good example for future Toastmasters to look up to, and we are looking forward to the next speech that you give on your Pathways program. I'm going to return the lecture back to our general evaluator tonight, who is Kyler.
Thank you, Diego. As always, we appreciate the collective feedback, because even though it's usually specific feedback, it's always helpful for all of us together. So, all right. So now we can get into the timer, which is Diego again.
That's me. Hello, everyone. We did a good job of sticking to the maximum time limit tonight. Carrie spoke for 5 minutes and 49 seconds. Maurice spoke for 6 minutes and 37 seconds. Kyler's table topic speech was 1 minute and 17 seconds. My table topic speech was 53 seconds. Lawrence's table topic speech was 1 minute and 48 seconds. David's table topic speech was 1 minute and 22 seconds. Cheyenne's table topics was 1 minute and 27 seconds. Majid spoke for 38 seconds. Maurice spoke for 56 seconds during the table topics. Carrie spoke for 1 minute and 30 seconds during table topics. Lawrence's evaluation was 4 minutes and 7 seconds. And my evaluation was 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we'll next move on to our odd counter, which I think is also Diego.
That's me as well. Carrie, very impressive for a prepared speech. I caught no filler words, so keep up that good habit.
That's good, okay.
Maurice also did an excellent job of not using filler words. Kyler, tonight you're doing a better job than in previous nights. However, you said twice, twice, and you used like once. I couldn't keep track of my out counter, unfortunately. Lawrence, I have no history of filler words from you when you were at the lectern. David, I counted two. I counted two us and one from David. Cheyenne, I counted one and one so. Majid, I counted 5 us. Maurice, I didn't count any filler words. Carrie, for your table of topics, I only counted 1 And Lawrence, I only counted 1 during your evaluation. I was unable to count any counters during my evaluation.
Good. Very good. Sounds like everybody's kind of slowly making improvements, which is good. So especially for me, because like I said, mine's usually the 10s or the 20s, so 10 to 5 or so is good. I'm happy with that. As I do, yeah, I guess jump do anything. Okay, so the next one will be our grammarian.
Hey, I didn't observe any improper use of English language, and the word that we had, bellwether, Cheyenne used it once, and
Awesome, good deal, good deal. I'm glad to hear we're using the word of the day, which I always forget about the word of the day. Like I hear about it, it's an interesting word. Now, I'm sure I can use it in some way, but I wasn't. All right, well that concludes my general evaluation. I think we did good tonight, and I will go ahead and do I call back up the Toastmaster again?
That's right.
Or the president? Okay, Toastmaster. All right.
I'm not sure if I used that word correctly, but I just went for it. So. All right, thank you for the in-depth overview and evaluations. You guys, it's always helpful to get feedback because we know how to improve, and it comes from a place of helpfulness and not being critical of each other. So that's always encouraging. And at this time, I would like to welcome up Diego for our educational overview.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Can I ask you to stay at the lecture for a minute while I get the PowerPoint ready? Yeah, we'll do this. I'll work with this setup tonight. Okay. Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you so much. My fellow Toastmasters, it is really great that we are making an important milestone with the calendar of incorporating more people stepping up to the plate and doing the prepared speeches, which is what we ask of all Toastmasters when they join the program, to start letting go of the comfortability of doing table topics and transitioning into the new and scary territory that is prepared speeches. But another important aspect for Toastmaster members is communicating on Easy Speak that you are going to be attending a meeting or you are not going to be attending a meeting. That is the next big milestone that all of us in this room and those who are going to watch this presentation, this is the next big responsibility that we ask from the officers board tonight. And I'm hopefully doing my part by giving you all a thorough and detailed tutorial on how we use Easy Speak and why it is an important piece of software for all members who join our program. So there are 5 easy techniques, 5 easy steps you got to follow when it comes to Easy Speak. The first step is going to the website, which is easyspeak.org. When you are given your username and password, of course, just put that into the appropriate dialog box. Go to the meetings and select the meeting on that particular day and month. When you find your name, just click yes or no. And there are 2 important steps that I will break down when it comes to if you are not doing a prepared speech but you're setting up for a role, and when you are doing a prepared speech. There are more steps to that. So again, the easiest step, of course, is just put easyspeak.org on whatever browser you choose. Next, you will reach this following screen of many Toastmasters, being excited about the Pathways program, and the future meeting that is coming up. And you will see on the left-hand top corner, you will see your username and password information entrance space. So when you become a member, the Vice President of Education or another officer will send you through the email that you left. This is your username and this is your password for the Easy Speak website. Once you are logged in, there is a tab called Meetings, which is the second leftmost tab. And when you click on that, you will see the meeting, the upcoming meeting that you are RSVPing to. You will find your name in this column of members, which is the active members column, and simply by finding your name in alphabetical, your first name in alphabetical order, you will find a yes, a no, and a question mark. Please select yes if you are planning on coming, and please select no if you are not planning on coming. What we Toastmasters really appreciate is you having a definitive answer on whether or not you are coming or not. We do not concern ourselves or give anyone a hard time about not attending a meeting. What we are much more irritated with are people who are ambiguous and do not communicate their attendance in coming or not. That is a bigger thorn in our side than you not coming to a meeting. The next most important step is selecting a role. We really implore our members, when they are committed to coming to a meeting, that they step up to the plate and select an important meeting role for tonight. This is very evident in tonight's meeting in particular, because as me being one of the evaluators, as well as being a timer, as well as being an odd counter, you can all see in my reports of odd counter and timer, I wasn't able to do every single role because there's only a limited number of roles that someone can juggle at a meeting at one time. And there is better feedback for a meeting when every role is filled and everyone is focused on a particular responsibility of that night. So let's talk first about doing a non-prepared speech role. Going back to the main meeting agenda, on the right column you will see many potential roles you can sign up for, including evaluator, general evaluator, Toastmaster, and table topics master, just to name a few. But when you are selected to do a prepared speech, that takes some more steps in preparation. You will see that there are 2 meeting slots. There are 2 slots available for doing a prepared speech, so select either one. You should select the little icon right there, not necessarily the large dialogue bin. You will be met with this prompt of a request to speech, and that's where you put in your name and information. And just give a brief title of what your prepared speech is about, and give a short introduction of what your speech will be on, so that way your Toastmaster for that night can give you a proper introduction for your speech. When you have completed your Pathways program, that is a tutorial for another night. You will be asked to select the pathways that you have been assigned to do, and I of course have been doing innovative planning. And then once you select that is where you now select the particular speech you are giving for that night. For many members of the room tonight, you are probably going to be giving your level 1 icebreaker, and so I indicated that in this next slide. And then be sure to click the Save button in the top right-hand corner. That is a brief overview of what it takes and steps that need to be done with Easy Speak. Just to reiterate one more time, just go to the URL on your web browser of choice, insert your username and password, make sure you select the meetings and the meeting that you are RSVPing to, make sure you find your name and select yes or no. And if you're doing a non-prepared speech role, that's as simple as just saying, I wanted to be table topics for tonight or Toastmaster for tonight. But if you want to do prepared speech, which is something that I will have to do next week, and hopefully someone else will be doing next week with me, there are a few more steps that need to be done for that. But hopefully this presentation slideshow communicated those extra steps as well. Thank you for your attention tonight on the educational review of Easy Speak, and I'm hopeful that going forward we will have more participation and engagement with the Easy Speak software in order to make our agendas more streamlined and more clear for everyone attending the meetings tonight. I'm going to relinquish the lectern back to our Toastmaster for tonight, which is Cheyenne. Thank you so much.
And just to give you enough time before you miss him, I'd like to relinquish the lectern back to our president. Thank you guys, it's been a good meeting.
Thank you so much, Cheyenne. Okay, everyone, we are at our 7:45 meeting in respect for our hour-long meeting commitment and in the hopes that everyone tonight has learned how to use Easy Speak. I am not going to ask for a pre-filling of agenda roles, but I'm going to ask that everyone please, between now and Sunday, please sign up for a role using Easy Speak now that we have been trained on how to use that Easy Speak software. That is that. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you all next week.